since you've been there, and how long would you expect these conditions to last?
Yeah, over a period of an hour or so, yes, this is worse than yesterday because the storm is closer, the pressure is lower. We've got more of that gradient, so we're getting stronger winds. These sustained winds are stronger. Yesterday, they were not moving the sand. Now they're moving the sand, but not quite bad enough for me to put on the goggles. And again, we're getting more squalls, more rain than yesterday. Yesterday's rainfall officially at the Palm Beach airport was only 0.2 of an inch. Lauderdale only 3/4 of an inch. So yesterday we didn't have a whole lot of rain. Today we're getting a little bit more. No flood issues though expected inland.
Yeah, that's some pretty good news. Mike, thank you for that very much. You can see how that wind is really flapping there on Mike's jacket. And I think the wind is going to be the real calling card of this storm. I'm going to show you the United States GFS model, okay? And what this does, it takes all the weather balloon data, puts it into a model, then spits out a forecast. And this is the wind forecast, okay? And you can see how it's spinning here off the Florida coast, takes a little jog off to the east because of a front that pushes in from the Midwest. Then it curls back to the north, and then follow the timeline here by Tuesday, making a potential landfall here in the Northeast. But look at the huge wind field and all the wind that wraps in behind that storm. So what's it mean for a place like, say, Washington, D.C.? Well, we think the wind increases for you and the rain by Sunday. There's your forecast. 58 degrees for a high temperature, but the prolonged duration of this, I mean, this goes all the way through Wednesday. We could see high wind and some pretty decent rain out of this as well. Similar goes for you in Philadelphia. We could really be looking at significant power outages in the Philadelphia metro area. Wind and rain all the way through Wednesday. A 4-day event, Stephanie, and I think tens of millions of people potentially could have their power knocked out because of Sandy.
That they will, but Mike, you know, between last year's Snowtober, the derechos that we saw in D.C., it seems like the power companies are prepared. We're going to figure out if they are coming up after your local on the 8th as we leave you now with the Atlantic Ocean.
I didn't pick up anything that was perishable because you'll lose it if we lose electricity. So the only thing I purchase is things that won't go bad. Canned foods, water, stuff like that.
In the house, you know, you'll get batteries, you know, flashlights and all that stuff. Yeah, sure. And for the dog, you know, a lot of water, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like canned goods.
Now, residents from the Mid-Atlantic to New England are preparing themselves for the extended periods without power. And this isn't just for coastal residents. If you live inland, you need to be preparing as well. The reason why, Sandy is big. This is huge. We're talking hundreds of miles across in diameter, and it's only going to get bigger as we head over the next several days. I am on the southeast coast of Florida in Palm Beach County, and Sandy is giving us waves, giving us some wind and rain along the coast. Schools have been canceled, but no huge issues here into South Florida. We don't need any more rain, though. We're above average 20 to 30 inches. Let's talk about what's going to happen as Sandy goes up the coast and the wind field that we are going to see. The hurricane winds, those are going to grow in diameter, and the tropical storm force winds are going to grow as well. And then as it gets into the northeast and combines into a mega storm, as some people are calling it, some people are calling it Frankenstorm because of the holiday that's coming up, Halloween. It is going to affect some 50 million people, and it could bring a lot of snow inland as well. I've posted where that snow will be and just how much could fall on my Twitter and Facebook pages. So the question is, are the utility companies ready? Here's a look.
Communication, coordination, and preparation. And that's what we're working on. And again, as always, we prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
On Long Island, crews built these dunes just yesterday in hopes of slowing down what the storm could bring. The Weather Channel is front and center at this Delaware Emergency Operations Center as it ramps up preparations. Utility companies throughout the region are gearing up too. PSE&G is New Jersey's largest electric utility.
We have arranged to have about 300 line crews available, in our territory on Sunday.
We also have activated our entire emergency response team.
Pennsylvania's largest electric utility is PECO.
So when the storm hits, we're ready to roll.
Philadelphia officials are reminding residents what to do before and during the storm.
We encourage residents now to have a plan, get the supplies they need to be prepared, and most importantly, know how to stay informed during an emergency. And we encourage people to sign up to receive text alerts through our office.
On the coast, the fire department in Ocean City, New Jersey will use these converted military trucks as rescue units.
Could be a medical call where somebody's in their home but they can't get out and they have a medical emergency. We can go in with this vehicle. We'll pick the person up, put them in the back of the vehicle because the back's very high, keep them dry, and we'll take them out to a location where we can transport them via an ambulance to a hospital or appropriate facility.
Whatever Sandy brings, New York's Mayor Michael Bloomberg has this piece of advice.
There's no reason to panic. We're going to do what we have to do.
Mike, I feel like there's been so many little storms, you know, that have gone through places like D.C. and the Snowtober from last year that these utility companies have learned a lot and really should be prepared this year.
Well, let's hope so. Keep our fingers crossed that that is the case, because this is going to bring some trouble for sure. First things first, what's going on right now? We've got this surface front that's coming through the Midwest, bringing us some rain right now. Toledo, Detroit, back down through the south. That front is on the move today and tomorrow. Really cools you down significantly. Pushes Sandy back out to sea a little bit, but gives way Sunday for Sandy to come back in. Now, on the back side of this system, where the colder is really going to be drawn down in from Canada, look at these impressive snow totals we could see through Wednesday. The European model really could pump out half a foot in Cincinnati, a foot through the West Virginia mountains. Significant snow could pile up here in a place like Pittsburgh. The U.S. GFS model, significant snow in central and eastern Ohio, Pittsburgh, down through Charleston, on your way down through eastern Kentucky. This could be a snowstorm for the ages. More details with Carl Parker when we...
Welcome back into Your Weather Today. We're going to get to my co-host Mike Bettis and our hurricane specialist Carl Parker in just a minute. But I first want to show you what's going on here. Now, high tide was at 6 a.m. this morning. The water has been coming all the way up to the wall here. It's starting to recede just a little bit, but we're still seeing it come up to the wall pretty much as far as the eye can see, so beach erosion is a major issue. Of course, there are double flags. We've been watching the lifeguards stand. I'm not sure you can see them whipping right there. We've only seen one not so smart person trying to play in the waves that was just in front of us. Otherwise, haven't seen any surfers, and I always like to try to give you guys a kind of behind the scenes look of what's going on. So here's all of our producers. We've got this where we're kind of set up under this little tent so that the cameras can stay dry and whatnot. And that's what it looks like where we're at here. That's what I'm seeing. And of course, I'm looking at the palm trees and noticing, Mike, that our wind is coming almost right out of the north at this point, looking at the trees.
Yeah, and that makes sense. As you're on the west side of that storm, so you're getting that back side of it. But I've got to say, pretty impressive, Carl, when you see just how much the beach is taken over by the water there.
Yeah, and it shows you the expanse of this storm because it's a long way away from where she is, and yet you're still getting this very strong wind and all this wave action now.
Do you think at this point it's a foregone conclusion we're going to have direct impact on the East Coast?